Welcome to Black Power, the channel where we bring you the most intense, shocking, and untold stories from around the world. If you love thrilling crime stories, dramatic moments, and powerful narratives, then you're in the right place. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to Black Power, because every story has a hidden truth waiting to be revealed. The sharp crack of skin against skin cut through the hush of the luxury cabin. A thin line of blood glistened on Dr. Amara Sterling's lip as she sat perfectly still in seat 1A, 30,000 feet above the ocean. "Don't you dare talk back to me." Flight attendant Sarah Mitchell's hand still trembled from the slap, her voice thick with rage. "People like you need to remember their place." 12 first-class passengers froze in disbelief. Smartphones slipped silently from designer handbags, cameras catching every angle of the assault. But Sarah Mitchell had no idea who she had just struck. The elegant black woman in the window seat wasn't just another premium traveler. She was the owner of the aircraft itself. Amara slowly raised her hand to her bleeding lip, then straightened the platinum lapel pin on her jacket. Its emblem unmistakable: Sterling Aviation. She glanced at her custom-made diamond watch, the engraving on the back reading CEO. And then, she smiled. There's a moment when a predator realizes too late that they've provoked the true apex. This was that moment. Dr. Amara Sterling had boarded her own plane without a word of announcement. No titles, no entourage. Just another quiet passenger sliding into the seat she had personally designed when commissioning this $65 million Gulfstream. The irony was exquisite. An anonymous CEO traveling incognito on Sterling Aviation Flight S001. And today, fate had seated Sarah Mitchell in first class. "Excuse me, ma'am." Sarah's sharp voice sliced through the silence. "I need to see your boarding pass again." Without looking up from her quarterly reports, revenue climbing 23% this quarter alone, Amara handed over the platinum-embossed ticket. Sarah's eyes narrowed. "This section is reserved for executive platinum members. Seats cost $8,000 round trip. They're meant for real business owners, leaders, people who actually deserve to be here." Around the cabin, champagne glasses stilled. A magazine hung suspended mid-page. Someone in 1C discreetly tapped record. "I'll need your identification and a valid credit card," Sarah demanded. Amara calmly produced her driver's license and a sleek Centurion card, the kind reserved for individuals spending $250,000 a year. Sarah barely glanced before scoffing. "Anyone can flash one of these. You need to move to economy where you belong." Amara finally lifted her gaze, her voice cool and smooth as silk. "Where I belong?" Sarah leaned in, her whisper sharp enough to cut. "I know your type, always looking for shortcuts, always trying to sneak into places you don't belong. People like you." The words detonated in the first-class cabin like a grenade. Thompson's champagne glass quivered in midair. Chen's magazine slipped to her lap. Martinez's camera zoomed in, capturing every syllable. Dr. Amara Sterling's hand brushed the platinum pin on her lapel, the crest of Sterling Aviation, diamond inlaid, worth more than Sarah's yearly salary. Sarah didn't recognize it. "These seats," Sarah pressed on, her voice louder now, "are for people who earn their place. Innovators, leaders, people who create jobs and build wealth. Not those who ride handouts and favors." Every phone in the cabin was raised now, recording. The tension was unbearable, every word too toxic to ignore. "I'll give you 10 seconds, Sarah announced for the whole cabin to hear. "If she doesn't move back to economy, I'm calling security." Amara opened her leather briefcase. Inside, a single document stamped with the Sterling Aviation insignia. She slid it onto the tray table, face down. 1. Sarah's voice was theatrical, commanding. "To our real first-class passengers, I apologize for this disruption." 2. Amara checked her custom Patek Philippe watch. The engraving read, "Sterling CEO, 2B milestone year." 3. A buzz from her phone, a text, "Confirmation received." 4. Sarah's voice sharpened, dripping venom. "This is what's wrong with the world. People demanding what they haven't earned, 5. Amara tapped the contract, her own signature authorizing nearly $1 billion in aircraft orders. 6. Head attendant Kevin appeared, concern on his face. Sarah, what's happening? This woman is refusing to move. She's disrupting service, Sarah snapped. 7. Kevin inspected the boarding pass. Ma'am, please cooperate. I am in my seat, Amara replied coolly. She's lying, Sarah shot back. They always lie. They always play the victim card. Always make it about discrimination. The word discrimination ripped through the cabin like an explosion. 9. Sarah's hand went to her radio. Air Marshal, report to first class. 10. Another slap cracked through the cabin. Blood welled on Amara's lip, dripping onto her tailored Armani jacket. 12 phones caught the blow from every angle. Sarah stood tall, chest heaving. Maybe now you'll learn respect. But Amara didn't shout, didn't threaten. She simply touched her lip and smiled, a smile that froze Sarah's blood. You have no idea what you've just done, Amara whispered, voice steady with the weight of empire. The intercom crackled. Ladies and gentlemen, we've begun our descent into Miami, landing in 35 minutes. 35 minutes. That's how long Sarah had left before discovering she'd struck the woman who owned the plane, before realizing she'd humiliated the billionaire who signed her paychecks, before her entire world collapsed. And Amara Sterling had waited 4 decades to reach this altitude. 35 more minutes meant nothing. The hunt was only beginning. Air Marshal Williams appeared, towering over the aisle. His hand hovered near his concealed weapon, his presence radiating authority. Step away from the passenger, he ordered. Sarah's face lit with relief. Finally, thank God you're here, Marshal. This woman has been hostile since I wasn't talking to her. His voice cut like a blade. I was talking to you. Step back. Sarah froze. But I'm the one who called you. And I'm looking at a bleeding passenger and you standing over her with your fist still clenched. Every passenger craned their necks. Sarah's right hand was still tight, knuckles white, trembling with adrenaline. Thompson's champagne flute slipped and shattered on the floor. Good God, Sarah. Your hand is literally shaking. Chen's fingers flew across her phone. We're trending, nationally. 40,000 retweets already. Martinez zoomed in on Sarah's fist. That's going to look great in court. Kevin's face went pale. Sarah, what did you do? I didn't punch her, Sarah stammered. I disciplined her. There's a difference. The cabin erupted in gasps. Disciplined her, as if Amara Sterling was a misbehaving child rather than a paying customer. Williams stepped forward, steel in his voice. Ma'am, place your hands behind your back. What? Why? Because you just admitted to assaulting a passenger on a federal aircraft. That's a felony. Sarah's world tilted. But she doesn't belong here. Look at her. I am looking at her, Williams said firmly. And I see a woman with proper credentials, a luxury suit and blood on her face. The suit could be fake. The card could be stolen. Thompson rose, towering. I've watched this whole thing. She showed you everything. Calmly. You ignored it. Chen glanced up. 60,000 retweets. CNN just picked it up. Sarah felt the walls close in. Phones recording. Passengers condemning. The air marshal moving to arrest her. Even Kevin backing away. Her career. Her freedom. Her life. Crumbling in real time. And across from her, Amara Sterling smiled again. The smile of the apex predator. A shriek tore through the cabin. This woman played the race card the moment I asked for her credentials. Sarah Mitchell's voice cracked with fury. The hum of jet engines filled the silence that followed. Dozens of eyes turned toward her. Phones stayed raised, recording every word. That's what people like her do, Sarah ranted. They wave fake documents, cry discrimination, and sue the second anyone dares question them. Dr. Amara Sterling finally lifted her head, her voice barely audible. I never once mentioned race, Sarah. You didn't have to, Sarah spat. It's written all over your attitude, your entitlement, The way you think rules don't apply to you. Air Marshal Williams moved in, one hand hovering near his cuffs. Ma'am, you need to stop talking right now. But Sarah had snapped. Years of resentment, conspiracy-laden news feeds and bottled-up frustration boiled over in one volcanic eruption. Women like her are destroying this country, she screamed, stealing jobs through diversity quotas, getting rich off lawsuits while real Americans can't pay rent, walking around in designer suits bought with welfare checks, flashing credit cards from programs meant for victims. Every sentence was another nail in her own coffin, felonies, slander, and hate speech broadcast in real time. She probably thinks society owes her reparations for something 2 centuries old, Sarah bellowed. Passengers shrank back as if her words were toxic fumes. Thompson gripped his wife's hand. We're watching a complete breakdown, he whispered. Chen's phone buzzed relentlessly. 70,000 retweets, she's trending worldwide. Sarah Mitchell. That was it for Williams, his voice cut like steel. Sarah Mitchell, you're under arrest for assault on a federal aircraft. You can't arrest me, she shrieked. I'm the victim. No, Williams replied coldly. You're the perpetrator of a hate crime on federal property. Kevin Brooks, the senior flight attendant, stepped forward with a face drained of blood. Sarah, please, for your own sake, stop talking. But she jabbed a finger at Amara like she was radioactive. She's scheming, probably recording everything so she can cash out with a lawsuit. Amara calmly raised both hands, empty. I'm not recording anything. Liar! You people always lie, always play victim while destroying innocent lives. The phrase you people ricocheted through first class like an explosion. Williams snapped the cuffs shut on Sarah's wrists. Sarah Mitchell, you are under federal arrest. As he read her rights, Amara Sterling finally reached for her phone. The cabin held its breath. She dialed a single number. The call connected instantly. This is Dr. Sterling, she said, her voice calm, razor-sharp. We have a situation on flight SA-001. The reply was immediate, reverent. Dr. Sterling, yes ma'am, how can Sterling Aviation assist you today? The words detonated like a bomb. Sterling Aviation. Thompson went pale. Chen stopped typing mid-post. Martinez nearly dropped his phone. Williams's knees felt weak. Kevin Brooks looked ready to faint. Sarah Mitchell had just struck the CEO of the company that owned the airline, the aircraft, and $2.3 billion in contracts. But Sarah, handcuffed and oblivious, screamed, I don't care what fake company she says she owns. She's still just another fraud. Williams whispered, Stop talking. Why should I? Sarah shouted. She can't touch me. I'm protected by union laws. She's powerless. Amara's smile was surgical. Send the legal team to Miami International. Schedule a press conference. We're about to make some changes. The cabin tilted into unreality. The passengers realized this wasn't just about a slap anymore. They were watching a career, a reputation, and a life collapse in real time. Dr. Sterling, Kevin stammered. We didn't know you were on board today. Amara's eyes locked onto him. Her words were soft but lethal. Kevin Brooks, employee ID 47291, hired March 2016, 2 children. Mortgage due on the 1st of every month. I know exactly who you are. Kevin's knees nearly gave way. She wasn't bluffing. She knew everything. And Sarah Mitchell, Amara continued, turning like a hawk. Employee ID 52847, salary $52,000, 3 buried discrimination complaints on record. Sarah's eyes bulged. That's confidential. Nothing is confidential from the CEO who signs your paycheck. Amara opened her briefcase. Inside were files, photos, recordings. Detroit, 2021. You harassed Marcus Chen, called him a fake businessman, settled for $45,000. Chicago, 2022. You profiled a rabbi in religious attire, settled for $67,000. Phoenix, 2023. You insulted a disabled veteran, settled for $89,000. Gasps rippled through the cabin. Sarah wasn't a first-time offender. She was a repeat abuser. And this, Amara said, placing a small recorder on the tray, has captured every word since you first approached me. Every slur, every crime, every assault, streamed live to my legal team. Sarah's face drained of color. That's illegal surveillance. No, Amara corrected smoothly. It's federally approved security testing. All passengers consent when they board, and my security center has been watching from 6 different angles this entire time. Williams's heart sank. It was airtight. Amara stood, blood still staining her lip, and revealed her final card. She pulled out photographs, blueprints, patents, contracts. You keep asking how I belong in this seat. Let me explain. The safety systems holding this aircraft together, my patents, the turbulence monitors preventing crashes, my invention, the very seats beneath you, my design. She leaned forward, her voice a whisper that cut deeper than any scream. I didn't buy my way into first class, Sarah. I built it. I engineered this jet, founded this company, and designed the future of aviation. Every bolt, every rivet, every system, mine. The plane's wheels touched the runway with a gentle bump. Through the windows, passengers saw flashing lights and armed federal agents waiting on the tarmac. And Amara Sterling, calm, bloodied, unshakable, was ready to finish dismantling the woman who thought she didn't belong. Black SUVs rolled across the tarmac, flanked by news vans with satellite dishes pointed skyward. Reporters swarmed the terminal like sharks catching the first drop of blood. Amara Sterling's smile was glacial. Sarah Mitchell, you're about to learn what it means to assault a federal contractor aboard a commercial aircraft. Only now did Sarah grasp the scale of her mistake. She hadn't just struck a passenger. She had ignited a war with a billionaire. A single phone call from Amara could erase her career, her freedom, even her anonymity. The intercom buzzed. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Miami International, Captain Rodriguez said calmly. Ground crews are standing by. Ground crews, and federal agents, and Sterling Aviation's legal strike team, and enough cameras to turn one flight attendant into the most notorious employee in aviation history. Amara dabbed her swollen lip with a tissue, then straightened her stained blazer. You asked if I belonged here, she murmured. She tilted her head toward the waiting swarm outside the jet bridge. Let's see where you belong. The cabin door opened like a judgment. FBI agent Rebecca Torres stepped inside, her badge catching the cabin lights like polished steel. Behind her came 3 more agents, Sterling Aviation's general counsel, and 2 grim-faced executives. Dr. Sterling, Torres said, her tone professional but laced with respect. Do you require medical treatment? Amara touched her cut lip, now crusted with blood. 6 witnesses, 6 devices. The evidence is sufficient. Across the aisle, Sarah Mitchell sat cuffed to her seat, eyes wide with disbelief as her victim was treated like visiting royalty. Agent Torres, Sarah stammered. She was disruptive, aggressive. This is a misunderstanding. Torres turned slowly, her expression predatory. Sarah Elizabeth Mitchell, age 34. 5 years with Skylux Airlines. 3 prior discrimination complaints, $21,000 in settlements. Sarah's world tilted. That information was sealed. Nothing is sealed in a federal hate crime case. The interrogation room was sterile, its fluorescent lights merciless. Sarah sat hunched across from Agent Torres, her public defender, and Sterling Aviation's general counsel, Patricia Blackwood, whose handbag alone cost more than Sarah's yearly wage. Let's go step by step, Patricia said, sliding a tablet across the table. The first recording played, You people don't belong here. Sarah flinched like she'd been struck herself. Timestamp 2:31 p.m. Next clip, I know your type. Always gaming the system. Her attorney pinched the bridge of his nose. No amount of free counsel could salvage this. Timestamp 2:47 p.m. Another clip. People like her are destroying this country, stealing jobs from real Americans. Each word nailed Sarah further into her coffin. Timestamp 2:52 p.m. High definition slow motion. The slap, blood arcing into the air. her own twisted smile caught in unforgiving detail. That's aggravated assault on a federal aircraft, Agent Torres said coldly. Against a government contractor, with hate crime enhancements. That's 8 to 12 years in federal prison minimum. Sarah's bladder nearly betrayed her. And that's before civil damages, Patricia added. Dr. Sterling's team is filing for $23 million. While Sarah sat drowning in legal quicksand, Amara Sterling was already orchestrating her counterstrike from 41,000 feet aboard her private jet. On her video conference screen, 12 pale faces stared back. Skylux Airlines' entire board of directors dragged from 3 continents into an emergency session. Ladies and gentlemen, Amara began, her voice calm despite the bandage across her lip. Allow me to explain exactly how deep a grave you've dug yourselves. The profanity that followed shattered her usual icy composure. Sterling never cursed, unless someone's career was about to be buried. Robert, she snapped, cutting off the stammering chairman. Spare me your condolences. This isn't about one employee anymore. This is about all of you. She opened a digital file, the kind of file that made billion-dollar boards sweat blood, documented patterns of bias, complaints brushed under the rug, settlements buried in footnotes. The storm was only beginning. 4 years, 47 verified cases, $8.7 million quietly buried in settlements, and an airline culture where discrimination wasn't an accident, it was policy. Chief Operating Officer Linda Martinez tried to cut in. We met all compliance standards. You met the bare minimum, Amara snapped, her smile like a knife's edge. You didn't manage an airline. You ran an industrial-scale machine of bias, and now every one of you is exposed under federal conspiracy statutes. The words detonated inside the boardroom. Personal liability. Not the company's pockets, their homes, their savings, their children's futures. In his glass-walled office, CEO Michael Thompson felt the air turn heavier than stone. The woman sitting across from him could end his career with one signature. Michael, Amara said smoothly, laying down 3 files across his polished desk. You personally received complaints about Sarah Mitchell in 2021, again in 2022, and again in 2023. Her fingers tapped each folder like a judge's gavel, and you buried them to protect quarterly earnings. Thompson's hands trembled as he fumbled for his medication. We handled those cases with legal counsel's guidance. No, Amara's voice cut through his excuse like steel through silk. You let a known offender keep her wings because paying off victims was cheaper than firing her. The accusation didn't just hang in the air, it poisoned it. Amara slid another document across the desk, its seal unmistakable. Something so devastating Thompson's face drained of all color the moment his eyes landed on it. Thompson's vision blurred. Federal conspiracy charges, civil rights violations, minimum 5 years, maximum 25. You're having me arrested, he whispered, barely able to form words. Amara didn't raise her voice. She didn't need to. I'm giving you one chance to avoid prison. 2 folders slid across his mahogany desk. They looked harmless, but each page inside carried the weight of a guillotine. Option 1, a total corporate overhaul. You resign, today. A new CEO with proven experience in equity and compliance. $100 million set aside for passenger restitution. Every employee retrained. An independent reporting system outside corporate influence. And you, Michael, personally donate $5 million to civil rights groups. Option 2. I forward these files to the Justice Department. Skylux faces federal prosecution. You face individual conspiracy charges. Our $847 million contract is voided. The company collapses. Your personal assets seized under forfeiture. Your name buried under the word felon. Thompson's breath came in shallow gasps. My personal assets? Amara leaned forward, her voice like velvet hiding razors. Your beach house, your boat, your daughter's trust fund, even your wife's diamonds, all stripped as proceeds of a conspiracy. Federal prosecutors are imaginative, Michael. They once seized a man's shoelaces as symbols of illicit lifestyle. Imagine what they'll do to you. His pen scratched across the page like a confession, a signature that ended his reign. But Amara wasn't just dismantling one man. She was rewriting the rules of an industry. Within hours, her secure video call filled with the faces of every major airline CEO in the country, their brands now stained by the viral storm. Skylux Racist had passed 5 million mentions. Sarah Mitchell's outburst wasn't an accident, Amara told them. It was the logical conclusion of the systems you've all enabled. They shifted uncomfortably, powerful men and women suddenly reduced to nervous schoolchildren. Sterling Aviation provides maintenance, leasing, and security services to nearly 3/4 of your fleets. Total value, $2.3 billion annually. American Airlines chief broke first, her voice barely controlled. Dr. Sterling, surely we can— There is nothing to discuss, Amara cut in, her tone cold as steel. New compliance standards will be issued within 48 hours. You will meet them in 60 days. Failure equals contract termination and referral to federal investigators. Another executive tried bargaining. These timelines are unrealistic. Racism has been realistic for decades. Now, accountability will be. The ultimatum was simple: adapt or go extinct. By the time the Miami sun set in blood-red streaks across the horizon, the consequences of one slap were echoing across the nation. Sarah Mitchell, 8 to 12 years in federal prison, $23 million civil penalty, permanent ban from aviation. Michael Thompson, disgraced resignation, millions forfeited, possible indictment. Skylux Airlines, gutted leadership, mandatory restitution, stock collapse. The aviation industry, forced to undergo mass bias training, system-wide monitoring, and the birth of a new standard. Months later, in a federal courtroom packed with victims and media, Judge Patricia Harris read Sarah's fate. 30 seconds of hatred revealed decades of corruption, 8 years in prison, 5 years of probation, $23 million in restitution, permanent ban from aviation. The gavel struck like thunder, and with it came a ruling even larger: federal oversight of the entire airline industry. From that day forward, the sterling standards swept across corporate America. Airlines, hotels, retail, banking. Any company tied to government contracts faced the same ultimatum: purge discrimination or lose billions. Discrimination was no longer just immoral. It was unprofitable. 1 year later, Dr. Amara Sterling stood before an international audience of investors. The scar on her lip, left by that fateful slap, gleamed under the lights. She could have erased it. Instead, she wore it as proof. A year ago, I was struck in the face by a flight attendant who decided I didn't belong in first class. She began, her voice steady. She thought she was silencing me. Instead, she awakened a movement. The room was silent. Thousands of eyes fixed on her. That single moment forced an industry to change. It gave millions of passengers something they had been denied for decades: dignity. It proved that justice can begin in the smallest moment of injustice, if you refuse to accept it as normal. She paused, letting the silence sharpen her words. Revolutions don't start in courtrooms or boardrooms. They start in ordinary moments, in someone choosing to record instead of ignoring, to speak instead of staying silent, to fight instead of looking away. Her gaze cut through the cameras, reaching far beyond the hall. The revolution is already here. The only question is, will you answer it? Meanwhile, in a concrete prison cell, Sarah Mitchell scribbled in a battered notebook. Day 365. 1 year since the stupidest 30 seconds of my life. I thought I was defending the airline. I thought I was protecting passengers. But I wasn't. I was protecting my hate. 30 seconds cost me 8 years, $23 million, and a career I'll never get back. But those same 30 seconds gave millions of people dignity. And I'll never undo that math. Her words scratched across the page in the silence of regret. Amara Sterling's scar had become a symbol, Sarah Mitchell's shame had become a warning, and the world had been forced to choose between silence and change. The revolution had won.